Can you imagine a world without social media? Our phones are now things that we see the first thing in the morning and is the last thing we use just before we go to bed. So it's no wonder that social media is starting to become a problem in relationships. Today we're going to look at some of the impacts of social media on relationships and the few things that we can do to try to avoid that becoming a big problem. Babe, you started.
Sorry.
See what I mean?
Sorry. Hello, welcome back to our channel. This is episode 11 in the series, How to Make Your Relationship Work. And today we'll be talking about the impact of social media on your relationships or in our relationships and what we can do to make things better. We can't do without social media. So the thing is just how can we manage this and also make sure that our relationships thrive.
Social media allows us to connect with other people. There's no doubt about that. Without social media, you wouldn't be able to find certain groups of people that relate to things that you are going through in particular. So for example, if you're a new mother, a new parent, or if you're going through a particular situation in your life, such as bereavement or
Mental health.
or mental health issues, or you belong to a particular professional group. All of those things allows you to connect to particular people that are more in sync to you compared to the people that might be around you physically that might not necessarily relate to certain things that pertain to you. So social media is great for that. But on the other hand, social media can have a negative impact in the sense that it can lead to infidelity, it can lead to losing friends, it can lead to certain frictions in your relationships. So we're going to look at that and look at how to manage that, how to manage social media in our relationships. Not take it out completely, because I believe it's part and parcel of our society today, but we need to manage it.
The average person spends about 50 minutes a day on Facebook. Have you ever thought about how much time you spend on Facebook or on social media? Reflecting on this may actually get you surprised about how much time you spend on the social media platforms. Sometimes you go into a restaurant and to have a meal with friends and you look around and you find people on their phones, on their gadgets, when they should actually spend that time together, just enjoying and chilling out. Or children in the playground or in school, and they're together just looking through their phones instead of spending that time, talking and interacting face to face. Slowly and surely, the use of social media is becoming an addiction, and a very worrying one at that.
One thing we need to realize and put into perspective is that what we see on social media is not always real. A lot of it is fake. If you think about it, what do you post? What do you put out there? It's normally the best of yourself, right? So, that's not reality, is it? That is not real. And yet, for some reason, we look at what's on social media and we think that that's reality, and we start comparing our lives to what we see. So for example, a woman looking at pictures of other people on Facebook, looking their best, and then comparing yourself and being worried about how you look, forgetting that there are so many apps there that can make you from a size 16 to a size 10. Believe you me, I know, right? So be very careful comparing yourself, because that can lead to a negative body image, and that can lead to so many problems, like anorexia, things like that people are suffering with.
Depression as well.
So we really need to put social media in its right place and realize and understand that it is not reality. A couple, for example, you could have one of you looking at pictures of someone on Facebook that's portraying the perfect relationship, or it could even be us you're looking at, and you think because we give all these pointers on how to make a relationship work, so it gives that that sort of impression that we're perfect, and therefore you then compare your relationship to someone like that on Facebook that you're looking at or on social media, and think that there's something wrong with your relationship, to where you start feeling dissatisfied or you start feeling disgruntled about your relationship. Be very careful in doing that, because what you see might not be reality. We talk about all these positive things, And believe you me, we are learning as we're giving our pointers.
Yeah.
We are not perfect. We have our shares of conflicts. We have our shares of, forgiveness that we have to give each other, learning how to do that, respect, all those things we've talked about. Yes, there's some of it that we do, there's some of it that we've talked about from our experience, but there's some that we've also researched that we're learning from as well. So that's what I mean by you can easily mistaken what people are putting out there and think it's the perfect picture and compare yourselves to, but be careful because it might not actually be reality.
Social media is very brilliant in connecting people. It can also be a platform to reconnect with old relationships or even connect with the new ones. For example, I connected with a friend who we went to secondary school with just yesterday. It can also be for other people an opportunity to connect with their exes, and in that kind of situation you need to be very careful because it can give you an opportunity to engage in conversations that might seem innocent at first but then could develop into something sinister if boundaries are not checked or maintained or observed. Social media distracts you from your relationship. When you spend so much time online or on social media platforms, it distracts you from spending time or committing time to your present relationship, and it's very easy to start something online with anyone. So I think it's very important that we are careful and we are aware of this.
Right. So we're going to go through a few tips on how to manage social media in your relationship so it doesn't become a problem between you. So the first tip we'll talk about is to prioritize time with your partner without social media. So we're talking about, deciding between yourselves whether it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day where you're going to have screen-free time, where it's just the two of you or just your family, where there's no laptop, there's no tablet, no phone, no TV, no screen time, where you're present with your family to just spend some time together. I can say that we don't even have that, do we?
No.
We don't have a time where we're all present with no tablet in front of Catriel or no laptop in front of Kiona or our phone is not in our hands.
In fact, I'm just laughing now because I just thought about our daughter Catriel, the younger one, telling her no tablet, and then she'll throw herself
that's a tantrum
on the ground.
And that just goes to show the problem that is gadgets. It's not even necessarily social media, it's just gadgets in our society today. We're constantly on something. At the very minimum it's the TV. So we really need to be able to find or carve out that time where we have no screen. No screen. Just be present in that moment. And you'll probably find that when you start over time, that time will increase. That time will easily increase. As you start to learn to interact face to face. People, it's becoming a real problem where it's getting harder to actually interact face to face.
And for young people as well, it will help them build social skills. A lot of young people and the children these days find it difficult to express what they feel. And of course the social media world gives a sort of hiding place, or a place to express yourself, but you also need to be physically present to share and speak to somebody.
Because it's a skill you need in your life, isn't it? I mean, sometimes I catch myself writing BRB and things like that at work, and I'm like, what am I doing? This is not social media. So it's really important that we carve out that time just to have screen-free time together as a couple or as a family.
Tip number 2, always prioritize your living, breathing human partner. What we mean by this is just to check in with your partner to make sure it's okay, with them or with you posting maybe certain pictures or certain information online, just to be sure they're happy with it. The reason for this is sometimes in relationships you can have a partner who is more private than the other, and so this gives them an opportunity to actually agree or disagree about what should be posted about themselves online. And so it's very important that you check in with your partner, before you post anything online. One easy question could be, are you okay with me posting a picture of our date nights online? Asking questions like this can help to stem off unnecessary arguments.
So tip number 3, in the real world, boundaries in terms of how you interact with people and the things you say are very clear. They're face to face with you or on the phone, it's very clear what you say or don't say. But on social media, those boundaries are blurred. It's not quite clear. So, for example, your partner commenting nice on a picture of a friend in a bikini, on Instagram, might seem innocent or might seem all right to your partner. But the question is, if you were all face to face and your partner was standing right there to you, would you comment nice to that lady in the bikini? No, you wouldn't. So those boundaries are very unclear on social media. So one tip we will suggest is ask yourself before you comment, before you say anything, before you heart it or anything like that on Instagram. Exactly. Just ask yourself, if my partner was standing right, if this person was right in front of me and my partner was with me, would I make that comment? Would I say this? That will sort of put boundaries back in the social media world, making sure that we're not saying inappropriate things that may seem innocent on social media but actually could create problems in your relationships.
Tip number 4, social media creates an opportunity to look in or check in, on the activities of your partner online. But the thing is, if you do feel the need to snoop in on your partner's activities online, then there might be a bigger question too that you might need to ask yourself relating to trust or probably just internal security. If there are trust issues in a relationship, our advice is just to tackle those head on. We'll put a link up relating to trust in relationships, which we did previously. If you find it's something you are struggling with, then you might want to consider not following your partner or each other at all on social media.
The tip number 5 is to give your partner the benefit of the doubt. A lot of the time we're quick to judge when we read certain things or we see certain things that our partners may have commented or said on social media. But try to remember that it's a lot harder to judge tone and intent of what's been put online. So what you read online or what your partners put online might not necessarily mean what you think. So always give the benefit of the doubt and ask your partner, I saw that you are friends again with that girl that you said you hooked up with in the past before we met. What's that all about? Or how did that happen? So you're asking first rather than jumping straight into the conclusion that something must be going on because they've reconnected on social media.
Tip number 6, would advise that if you're not happy with your partner's online activity, that you address those issues head on and as quickly as you can, and also on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes, like MaryAnn said, you could easily misread what your partner has posted online and things like that. But we would advise and encourage that you deal with those issues as they come up. Don't let them fester for so long, because it can generate bad feelings and resentment between yourself and your partner. So it's best that you address those issues, as they come up. Don't just brush it aside and say, because it's social media, so well, let's let that slide. It's very important that you take care or address the things that make you unhappy, even with your partner. That's still communication anyway, like we've said before. So it's just best that you deal with them as they come up. In dealing with how you feel, would advise that you take time to find out why you're feeling that way, why you're feeling unhappy. And then once you know the why, address that specifically with your partner. Let your partner know how you feel and what you need from them. So for example, you might say, I notice you still have romantic pictures of your ex on your Facebook account. It really makes me feel uncomfortable, and also that you might not be over him or over her. Is there a way you could actually take this off or delete them? So it's a gentle conversation, gentle request, and or putting across your feeling and your emotion about that behavior. If we let our emotions speak, they can really give off a lot of information, which can be healthy for us.
Yeah, and then you also being direct on what you want your partner to do for you. Okay, so those are a few tips that we've been able to share with you today on how to manage social media in relationships. Just remember that the real relationship is the present one. So you should be spending more time and more energy focusing on that rather than social media relationships. They're just as important, but don't neglect the real ones, the present ones.
Yes, don't neglect me.
Yeah. All right, so we hope that that's been helpful for you, and we hope that you can apply some of these tips into your relationship. So until next time,
Bye.
bye.